All right, I want to thank our House candidates from District 51 and 52 for joining us today. My name is Cory King. I am the Executive Director of the Southern Mid-Coast Maine Chamber, and this is our fourth of four forums with our candidates going over some of the issues so you can get to know them a little bit better. We do want to thank our sponsors for this event. The sponsors for this event are the Chamber's cornerstone members, which are Mid-Coast Parkview Health, Priority Real Estate Group, Sightlines, Barnard Financial, Riley Insurance, Bath Savings Institute, and Remax Riverside. So thank you to all those businesses for sponsoring all that the Chamber does, including this series. And as always, we like to put this out front that the Chamber doesn't endorse any candidates, and the businesses being sponsors of this event is not an endorsement of any particular candidate. So with that, we have three of our four candidates here. Unfortunately, Stephen Bubba Davis could not make it. So what we're going to do for those that are in District 52 or work or are interested in District 52, we are going to, when I can, sometime next week, I will film the same questions with him, and I will post that on our Facebook and our YouTube channel, so you can at least see what his answers are to the exact same questions. But we do have our other three candidates here, and so actually, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and what district you're from, and just let us know what that covers. So we will start with Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean Paulhus. I represent Bath, House District 52. It's all of Bath.
Perfect. And I'm gonna give you guys time to do your opening statements. So just for the introductions right now, Christina.
Hi, my name is Christina Hughes, and I represent District 52, Bath, the City of Ships, home of Bath Ironworks.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. And Jay.
Hi there. I'm actually District 51, House District 51, and that is Harpswell, West Bath, and the northeast section of Brunswick.
Thank you, Jay, and thanks for correcting me. So yes, Stephen Bubba Davis is the other opponent in District 51, who I will be talking with later, and is running in for the same seat that Jay is. So with that, we do like to keep this time so we can get to everybody and we can make it as fair as possible. So I'm just going to queue up my stopwatch here on the phone, and we are going to do opening statements. And so we're going to, the order for this round, it's going to be Jay, Christina, and then Sean. So Jay, your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you. Thanks, Cory. I'm serving now in my third term in the Maine House, having served for 6 years now, almost 6 years, and we're coming up on the election. In my time in the legislature, I have served on several committees, including tax, judiciary, health and human services, and currently am chair of the Marine Resources Committee and a member of the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee. And prior to serving in the legislature, I worked as a social worker, clinical counselor, largely in public school settings, but also Head Start and Sweets or Children's Services, doing family preservation, home-based therapy, and crisis intervention, crisis unit clinician. And I decided to run for the legislature because just as social work and counseling is advocacy, so is legislative service. You're there to represent your district and your state and to advocate for the needs of the community. And that's what I've done and would like to continue to do. So thank you. Oh, you're muted, Cory. Cory, you're muted.
That's going to become a thing. Thank you, Jay. Christina, it is your 3 minutes and your opening statement. Begin now.
Thank you, Cory. I want to thank you and the Mid-Coast Chamber for having this. What a great thing and a great opportunity for us to get to know each other. Well, first of all, I want to talk about the fact that I'm a business owner. I've been in business in Bath for 9 years. I've been in business in the state of Maine for 15 years. I had a shop up in Skowhegan, and as you know, Cory, we worked together on a couple of different events, Bike Night being one of our major fundraising events. It was awesome. It was incredible. And one of the things that we were able to accomplish was, of course, fundraising, and all the restaurants were able to, when we saw the numbers, like for example, Cumberland Farms throughout that event, we did $10,000. They did $10,000 that one night versus their last year just doing $3,000. So all the businesses were able to feed off that event. And a little bit more background about me. In 2000 to 2001, I worked at the World Trade Center. I was the director for Victoria's Secret Beauty. I launched the first cosmetic line out of the World Trade Center. I previously come from Estee Lauder companies. But, you know, thinking back at that time, I was lucky enough not to be there during the 9/11 attacks because I was having my daughter, and she saved my life. And I remember back at that time thinking how united our nation was, and how close we were. And I would love to bring that back. I think that's where we need to be, is more of a united front. But, you know, thinking about the police and all of the law enforcement and the firemen, they saved us. So I like for people to know a little bit about me. I think it's important. I have a ton of business experience. I worked for the Estee Lauder companies for at least 7 years. I ran Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Upper State New York. I had 33 stores that I was responsible for. But after the World Trade Center, I wanted to move to Maine because I felt if I, you know, with my children and being a single parent, I wanted to raise them in a happy, safe environment. And Maine is really the place to do that. So that's what brought me to Skowhegan. And I definitely loved that town. It was such a great experience. And the best part about that, I was able to come to Bath, save money, and move to Bath and open a business right here in our downtown. And I'm so happy to be a part of the City of Ships. What a great place that we live in. So I feel it's my duty to get out there and be involved.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Christina. I appreciate the kind words about our past. Yes, I do like to let everyone know, you know, who I know on these calls, just to be totally transparent. So, yeah, Christina and I go back a number of years. So, and someone who I just met recently is Sean Paulhus. Sean, your 3-minute opening statement begins now.
Great. Well, thank you, Cory, and thank you to the Southern Mid-Coast Chamber for sponsoring this. I really appreciate it, especially in these times. We have to think of new ways to get out there and talk to the public, so I really appreciate this. Again, my name is Sean Paulhus. I'm from Bath. I grew up here. I graduated from Morris High School and then went away to Ohio for college. And then once I graduated, I came right back to Bath because I knew I wanted to be back here in Maine, and quickly got involved locally in politics. When I was 22 that fall, I ran for city council in 2008 and have been lucky enough to be reelected and been on the city council and currently serve as vice chair of the city council. During my time on the city council, I chaired the city flag committee, which helped create the city flag that we see now flying all over homes and businesses, which I'm really proud of. But one thing right now, like my wife and I are raising 3 kids here in Bath, and all 3 of them are in the school system. One just started at Morris High School, one just started at the middle school, and one just started kindergarten. So we got new places, new schools this year. So I think, and then of course last year I ran and won in the special election to represent Bath, which has been a great honor to do. I feel that public service and civic engagement is an honorable profession, and I'm happy to be doing that and to be representing the community that I love. And I think it's very important, especially right now as a working family, that we need more of that represented in Augusta. I don't think we have enough people who are raising families and working and dealing with those day-to-day issues that we're seeing more of and talking more of um, all around us, especially since COVID has hit, and talking about, bills and what we're doing and where we're going to find funding for, household things. And so I think that's an important voice that needs to be had up in Augusta. I think unfortunately it's not as well represented up there, and I think that's something that we need, and especially for a community like Bath, I think we have many middle class workers and families here, and I think I will, if I'm fortunate to be reelected, I would continue to be a strong voice for that in Augusta for the city of Bath.
That is wonderful. Thank you all so much, and thank you for staying on time. Nothing against your other colleagues, but hasn't always been the case on these forums so far. So I actually haven't had anyone stay like under time, like in one consecutive round. So that's amazing. So next we're going to go into the Q&A, and then we're going to have closing statements later. And so for those watching the video at home that haven't seen one of these, how the Q&A works is we're going to rotate who gets to answer the questions first. Where Christina and Sean are both in District 52, we're going to put them back to back, always with their answers, so it's easier to compare what they said. But we will be rotating it through. Each candidate gets 90 seconds to make an answer, and then after everyone's answered, there's a 30-second respond further time where they can add anything else that they want to their answer, and then we move on to the next question. And so we're going to be doing we ended up, I had a very specific question that we've asked in every forum, and it's very long. So I have sent this question to all the candidates prior, just so they have an idea, because again, it's a long question, but it's a good question. It's a very valid question. So in this first question, it is on property tax. So it's going to be Sean, Christina, and then Jay. And so I'm going to read the question now. And any opinions in the question are from the questioner, not necessarily from me. Of the three primary tax buckets, income tax, sales tax, and property tax is the most regressive and strikes the hardest on those that can least afford it. Of the three property tax segments, municipal budgets, education budgets, and county budgets are the least discussed, but are very important as they account for the district attorney's offices, emergency dispatch, sheriff's departments, county jails, and other vital services. Please comment as to how you, by serving in the state legislature, you might assist in alleviating this tax burden on the local communities and counties as they are property tax dependent. Some examples might be the development of alternative funding sources, programs to encourage common service consolidations between local governments, lifting state requirements, more direct assistance. Again, all with the goal of alleviating the property tax burden. So Sean, starting with you, your 90 seconds begins now.
Great. That's a great question. When I first got on city council, one of the first committees I actually was on was the Saginaw County Budget Advisory Committee. Which is where each town sends someone to be on to advise the budget for the county. So I was fortunate enough to get on and really take a look at how the county budget looks like. In regards to property taxes, I totally agree. I mean, municipalities have been really hit hard, since that's their only real revenue is property tax. I think one thing that we're very good at doing in the most recent legislature is that we were increasing revenue sharing. And I can tell you from being on the city council, that really helped us from not having to raise any property taxes in Bath. So it is a really affects local communities, both on the municipal side and on the county side. So I think at the state level, I think what we need to continue to do is to raise the revenue sharing. I mean, this is money that the communities should be having and will need going into the future when they're having to deal with budget shortfalls and projections that we're seeing because of the COVID. So I think that's in Augusta, as a legislator, I will continue to fight for increase in revenue sharing so that municipalities and county budgets get those fundings.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Sean. One note that I should say to everybody that I didn't say before we started this, when I give a thumbs up, that is a timing thing with the candidates so they know that they're approaching their time limit. So some people think that means like, oh, I love that idea. And it's not me doing anything other than signaling our friends. So Christina, same question to you. I'll just read the very heart of the question again. How by serving in the state legislature, please describe how you, by serving in the state legislature, might assist in alleviating the tax burden of local communities and counties as they are property tax dependent. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Cory. Well, I do know that here in our city of Bath, we've adopted a $38.2 million funding for our school systems, which could increase property taxes by 2% in this area. I'm not sure why it was so much, why we needed so much. We haven't been in school since February, and we've only been going to school 2 days a week. But what we really need to do is go after the EPS program and get the state to kick in the 55% that they're supposed to be kicking in, because then that way all that money can go back to our property tax owners. I mean, I think that that's absolutely really high as far as a budget. And I think that there's some opportunity, which honestly, like, I find the EPS program kind of confusing, which I want to investigate a little bit further. But if they were kicking in what they said they would, the state would kick in 55% of the funding. And then that way, that would alleviate a lot of burden on our property taxes in the city of Bath, since they're one of the highest in the state. So that would be what I would hit home right there. And I don't know why we needed that much money this year. And Sean, you're on the city council. I don't know. Maybe you could speak more to that with the 38.2 million. That's maybe.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Good. No, I didn't want to cut you off. I just wanted, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were done. It's never easy doing these things on Zoom. Thank you, Christina. Jay, same question to you. If you need me to repeat it, let me know. But otherwise, the floor is yours. Oh, and you're muted, Jay. You win the muted award. You've got it now. I'll get it back soon. I'll get it soon. There you go, Jay. Go for it.
Yeah, this is a very good question, a critical issue. And as Sean said, I'm very proud that in the legislature we were able to make some positive steps. And I feel that we've had to recover from some of the decisions that were made under the previous administration that were actually harmful to this issue. And, you know, there are differences of opinion always on matters of taxation, but my opinion is that our progress in increasing what goes to the towns is key. And I was thinking, as Christina was about school funding, that's a huge piece of this. And, you know, it's such an important piece. Kids are our future, those kinds of things we've heard, and quality education is critical throughout the lifespan, in my opinion. But I do know that there are great concerns about the formula, which I think 99.9% of people find confusing and cumbersome, the EPS formula. And in West Bath in particular, there's been quite a bit of discussion about what we might do differently so that a town that is a smaller community, when, for example, costs for special education go up, they have a way to do that differently and protect property taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So now we get into the respond further section. This is just a chance for you to add, 30 seconds to say anything else you want to say about the specific topic. We're going to go in the same order. So Sean, Christina, and then Jay. Sean, 30 seconds. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. I know also in the last legislature that we did try to get a lot closer to 55. I think we got to 51 or 52% of the state. Also, as a city councilor, we're not a part of the school board and RSU1. We don't really have any effect on what they create their own budget. of course, before RSU1, when school system was a part of Bath, the city council had a much greater response to that. But with RSU1 now, the city council does.
Oh, Sean, we lost you just a little bit on the end there, but Sean, say the last thing you said one more time. You said on the city council. Nope, nothing. All right. Thank you, Sean. And Christina, you are up for 30 seconds, whatever you want to add. Jay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sean can hear me. Great. Christina? Oh gosh. Christina, can you hear us? Are you frozen?
So, isn't Zoom great?
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm actually thankful. We actually haven't had this happen all that much. So Christina dropped off. She's gonna drop back in. So we are going to well, Jay, I will let you add anything further that you want right now, and we'll get Christina back on here in a second.
Well, just that it's the goal that we have, many of us have, to continue to do more in our future budget, so that we're giving more to municipalities so that they can not have the major hits that are so difficult. We do have a big responsibility.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. Jay, I'm sure what you said was magic, and I'm so sorry. I should have muted. That was Christina who just called me. They just lost power at her shop, and so her computer went and her Wi-Fi went. So she is going to try to join us in a moment.
Okay.
So yeah, that's okay. We'll go on, and so this actually did happen similarly in another forum that we were in, where one of the candidates joined us later, and we just caught them up with the other questions. So I'd say we just we plug forward and we'll continue. So both of you talked about your time in Augusta and that sort of thing, and this next question is about compromise. So compromise is going to be key for in the next legislative session, and big or small, it is something that we do every day. With so many issues facing the next legislature, being able to compromise and work together is going to be key. How do you approach compromise and working with others who don't share your views initially, and how do you work towards a common solution? So this is not a policy issue, but it's more of a personality issue, and it's going to be really important. So Jay, I'm going to let you start since Sean started the last question, and we'll go from there. So go for it. Your 90 seconds begins. No.
Thank you. Compromise is key. I was on a panel once and mentioned compromise, and someone else on the panel said, I would never compromise. I disagree intensely. This is a process. We work together. The places where we collaborate and work together to come up with a reasonable solution don't make the news, like the ones where we don't. But I can tell you a specific example is a bill I've been working on to get a process to dispose of expired marine flares, which are in people's basements, garages. They're dangerous, they're polluting. And my biggest ally on the committee where this was heard, the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, was a Republican representative. Same was true in a bill I had about school bus safety. The biggest ally on the committee was a Republican House member who was just a champion for, we need to make sure that kids are safe. So we do work together. We must work together. It's the only way we get a budget. It's the only way we get good bills through and make good policy. So I'm very proud of the collaboration and the way we're able to come up with a good policy that takes in all points of view.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Sean, same question to you about the importance of compromise and how do you approach that?
Well, I think compromise is key. As Jay said, it's the most important thing. Our system is designed for compromise. It's not designed to be in each corner. It's to get conversations, and it all starts with the relationships. You got to be able to speak with everybody. And I think in Augusta, we are very fortunate, as Jay said, You know, we compromise probably more often than people realize.
Yeah.
Like probably 90% of our bills are bipartisan. On IF&W, which is what I serve, Inland Fishery and Wildlife Committee, I think we had like 98% of our bills were unanimous,
Wow.
bipartisan, out of committee. So there is a lot of like bipartisan, and and as the speaker recently did, and President Jackson, they mixed up the seating so that Republicans and independents and Democrats are all sitting together. So um and it's all about relationships, all about talking and building that relationship with everybody. And it doesn't, and in Augusta we're going to disagree on things, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. But it is, compromise is not a dirty word. Our system, our constitution is designed to compromise. That's the way the founders did it on our state level. That's the way they did it on the federal level. And so I think we in Maine are very fortunate to have the people that serve in Augusta. Like when we disagree on big issues, that's when people will see it on the news generally. So
Right.
it's not the case. We're all friends. We're all, you know, serving on committees together, sitting in chamber together. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think in Augusta, we are very fortunate to have, and we have joint committees. So we have members of the House, we have members of the Senate, all serving on committees together. So we really do that collegial feel and bipartisanship up in Augusta.
Great. Great. Anything that either of you want to add onto that, and any respond to anything further?
I would just add along the same lines that in my first term, I was, my learning curve hurt because there's so much to learn. But
Yeah.
I found that the people are very generous with their knowledge. It's not, I know this policy, or I know this, I'm an expert in this and I won't talk about it. It's not that way at all. You find out where the experts are on all these different areas, and collaborate in that way too. So you learn from each other regardless of party. As Sean said, the committees are joint standing committees, both parties, both chambers. So we get the interaction and get all those points of view out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean, anything further?
No, again, I think it's all about relationships and building relationships in Augusta, which I think we do very well at. And I think we have a very good system in Augusta. And like I said, most of the bills are bipartisan if you look at them.
Yeah.
We have co-sponsors of independents, Republicans, and Democrats. So.
Well, perfect. All right. So, like I said, once Christina joins, we will get her input on that same question. But while I've got you, we've got more stuff to get through. So, the next question, we're going to go Sean first and then Jay, and it talks about the three priorities that you wish were discussed more. Is what the category is. So, through campaigning and serving your communities, you hear from numerous businesses and citizens about issues that are affecting them. Unfortunately, in a forum like this, we only have time to cover 4, 5, 6 issues. What are 3 issues you wish were discussed more, or that you wish that your constituents were more aware of? So, what are 3 issues that? Yeah, I guess that's it. You wish were discussed more, or your constituents are more aware of. Sean, your 90 seconds starts now.
Yeah, I think that um, like hunger awareness
Oh yeah.
is a big one, especially in the Bath community. We've had a lot of we've been working hard at that. We have a great food bank here in Bath, and we do a lot of stuff. And in the high school, they do as well. And I think, especially in this time, it's really noticeable that people need help, and especially younger kids, need to be able to have the availability of food. I think it's something that sometimes people have a difficult time talking about, but I think it's an important one that we need to have here, and we need to make sure that kids and families have the resources they need to get food and have food. So that's one big one. I think kind of going along with that, with working families, I think childcare is a major issue around here and in Maine. If we want to have young people start families here in Maine, I think childcare is a major issue. I think we need to make sure that parents aren't have the ability to be able to work if they want to, and have the childcare and start a family if they want to. Um, I think those are some big ones. I think that um, I lost mine.
No, that's right. We'll give you your third one and your additional 30 seconds
Yeah.
in a second. Before we go to Jay here, I want to welcome Christina back. I did explain to everyone that you lost power, and that's terrible. Say something so I know I can hear you. Oh, you're muted. You're muted somehow. You're muted. Christina, we can't hear you. Can you? I just saw your mouth go, oh no.
Something else because she's not muted.
Yeah, you're not muted on the, are you muted on the phone? Is the phone muted? Oh goodness. Hi, Christina. Mm,
Now it's muted.
yeah, I just muted and
Oh.
thinking maybe, hey, Christina, try to unmute again. Maybe it'll, nope, did not work. Oh, okay. So while Christina, you keep working on that, or maybe try to call back in, and maybe we can try it again on the phone, and we'll see if that works. And until then, sorry, Jay. The question will go to you, and the question again is about three priorities that you wish were discussed more, or that your constituents were more aware of.
Boy, it's an interesting question because I think constituents are remarkably aware of what's going on.
Good.
And it's more likely that I'll get asked a question that it gives me an opportunity to learn about anything from how do I help my grandson finish flight school to solar power issues. But priority issues, I think that people are eager to know about are things like mental health issues, substance use disorder, what we're doing about it in Maine. We've had a rise in the number of opioid overdoses, even we were going down. I chaired the opioid task force a couple of years ago. Great recommendations to do more about that. So I think we need to keep alert that it's not over. Another issue that's really important, and I think there is better awareness of, is the need for career and technical ed. And part of that relates to the high student debt that we have, that there are lots of ways to further education. There's no one right way, and we need to have all those opportunities available for people based on their interests, their skills, and their ability to do the work they want to do. And it's, of course, everything's related to workforce development. If you have people struggling with substance use disorder, that affects workforce. If you have people who are not healthy, that affects workforce. And if you don't have skilled workers, that affects workforce. But again, people ask me fantastic questions. The best thing we're able to do is serve our communities, our constituents. It's probably passing a bill is great, but helping your constituents is number one.
Yeah.
That is great, Jay. And it looks like Christina is trying to rejoin us right now. I see her and I hear her. Yes.
Hey, I reset I had to reset my wireless. So I'm back.
Hey, nice to see you again. Okay, so here is where we are, and we're going to be asking you a couple questions in succession here, just so people can get your answers on the things that we covered. So I believe when we left off, we were in the respond further part of the tax question. So sorry to have to do it to you this way. It's not easy to do it this way. But is there anything further that you wanted to say about property tax and taxation to add to your previous answer?
Well, I just want to say that we definitely don't want to raise taxes. It will definitely put way too much stress on the Maine families and business owners. I think that there's some opportunities that we could look at in the budget. But I definitely think that increasing taxes right now would be devastating to our community.
For sure, for sure. Awesome. All right. So now we're going to have two questions for you back to back. You're going to get 90 seconds and then you get an extra 30 seconds. So I figure you might as well, if you want to go 2 minutes, go for it. And so the first question was about compromise. And so let me just find it so I can read it exactly how it was. And it's gone missing. All right. So, oh, there it is. Never mind. Good. Compromise. So compromise will be key in this next legislative session, and big or small, it is something we all do every day. How do you approach compromise and working with others who don't share your views initially? And how do you work towards finding a common solution? So give us some ideas on working with folks from across the aisle and compromise.
Well, definitely being a single mom of 2 girls, and I also had custody of my niece at one point in
Oh,
Skowhegan. We only had 1 bathroom, and there's 3 girls, so you have to learn how to compromise, especially with all the girls in the house. But also, I feel like compromising. I'm dealing with in a small business. I deal with a lot of vendors. I deal with a lot of different artists that have different views. One of the things that's one of the rules that we all need to listen. And I feel like that's important, and just like actively listening and making eye contact, and being able to come to an agreement, but listening to that other person's view, because we all have our own opinions, and I think it's important to definitely listen to others and come to a compromise, come to an agreement. And that's something that I do all the time, especially with my girls and especially in my own business.
Perfect. That's great. So then the next question that we moved on to is going to be, so we got Jay's initial answer and Sean's initial answer, and then we hadn't gotten into the respond further area. So this question, and then we'll be all caught up, is about 3 priorities that you wish were discussed more. So I will just ask the question like I asked them. Through campaigning and serving your communities, you hear from numerous businesses and citizens about issues affecting them. Unfortunately, in a forum like this, we only have so much time to cover issues. What are 3 issues you wish were discussed more, or that you wish constituents were more aware of? So 3 issues that you wish were discussed more or people were more aware of. And your 90 seconds starts now.
Well, I definitely think that, can you repeat the question?
No, absolutely. No, that's fine. No.
And I'm like,
no, that's all right. It's a long question too. So
let me just tell them, can you give me 1 second? I just need to tell them that I'm in a meeting. Hang on.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
That's okay. And this is life, and this is the life of a small business owner. And it's wonderful that you could all make this time to join us, because you're not, just sitting on your butts, just sitting around. You're all active and engaged in everything, and your schedules are tough. And so that's okay. Things like these happen. I'm glad we got Christina back.
The window. I just want to tell them, ask them to come back.
No, that's great. That is great. So, hey, so 3 priorities you wish were discussed more. I'm just going to read the whole thing again. Through campaigning and serving your communities, you hear from numerous businesses and citizens about issues that are affecting them. Unfortunately, in a forum like this, we only have so much time to cover issues. What are 3 issues that you wish were discussed more, or that you wish constituents were more aware of? So 3 issues that you find important.
Well, I would definitely say, there's a lot of issues right now, as far as, I feel like our roads around Bath. I think that we definitely need to pave them, and I feel like the cost is pretty inexpensive just to pave the roads. Right now, people are afraid of that $400 bill popping up, or the fact that you could break a strut, and those costs are so, like, it's so stressful, because when you're not prepared, or if you don't have a savings, then those things come up. I've heard a lot from the business owners down here, which 80% of the business owners in Bath are women. But one of the things that I've heard a lot about is the restrictions that we're under and how we can't do business like we could before. And I think that we really need to open up the economy. And I feel like we're business owners, so we're smart enough to keep everybody safe. Especially in my tattoo shop, you know, we definitely have the utmost sterile procedures.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of people that, you know, want to open up their doors. We want to go back to the way that we were living our lives before. I think this is a major issue. You know, thinking about from January through June and talking to my other colleagues down here in the downtown, you know, 60% of our total business is done during that time that we were shut down. So now we have to really come up with ways and other opportunities to fix and make that money back.
Awesome. I'm going to stop you there. We're going to do the respond further section, so you'll have a chance to throw one more item in there. Just like Sean, you gave us food insecurity, and I can't remember what the other one was, but that you said earlier, but because it was like 10 minutes ago. But anyway, 30 seconds to respond further on another priority that issue for you.
Yeah, I think it's just talking about the situation that we talk about the middle class a lot, but I think there are a lot of people who are below middle class, and we want to make sure that those people have the services that they need, have the capability to get a job and education, and are able to lift themselves up to middle class. I think that's, you know, that's a topic that people don't talk about as much. And I think that's something that we need to talk about more. And I think that's how we get the ideas and the plans. And kind of as Jay mentioned before, with constituents, some of our best ideas come from our constituents and from the public. So.
For sure, for sure. Jay, 30 more seconds on anything that you want to add about priorities. Oh, Jay, I'm so sorry.
I'm being so polite to mute.
You are being so polite. You're being really polite.
I'm going to stop doing that. One of the things because of where we live and because of the state we're in, ocean environment, marine resources, working families, fishing families, and all the industries related to it, and aquaculture. These are areas that are, you know, developing and have been traditional, and how do we make them work together? That's a lot of questions I get, a lot of research I've been doing to do the best we can for all who are need our ocean environment. We need to keep it healthy.
For sure, for sure. That actually leads into my next question. But Christina, 30 more seconds on priorities. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, I'll be really quick. All right, education. Education is huge. We really need apprenticeship programs. We really need better vocational programs so that we can keep our children here. So right out of the gate, when they get out of high school, if, you know, not everybody can afford college, but if they have a trade and they've learned, they can work right through in BIW. Apprenticeship programs is like one of the biggest things that I think that our children need. We need to have these options, especially in this economy. And I definitely want my daughters to want to stay in Maine and rebuild our state and our economy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christina. All right, everybody, we're all back together. Take a deep breath. All right, here we go. So we've got one more question, and then we're going to be into closing statements. And so this last question, it's going to be Christina, and then Sean, and then Jay. And the question is about supporting the distinct industries in your community. In your specific districts, you have industries you are known for. Harpswell, for instance, and many communities in Maine are known for commercial fishing, and Bath, of course, is known for shipbuilding. So Jay, starting with you, what type of issues face these specific industries, and what will you do in the legislature to help these industries specifically? And this is all adding on to things you've already said, but I think it's a really great point for us to kind of drill down on. So Jay, 90 seconds begins. Oh, I'm sorry. Jay, you're not first. I lied. Christina, you're first. I'm sorry. I just threw a curveball. So sorry, Christina, Sean, and then Jay. So Christina, same thing to you. It's a really important point, shipbuilding and its importance to BIW. How will you help? Your 90 seconds begins now.
Uh-oh.
Christina, can you hear me? I just want to cry. I just want to cry.
Oh, Zoom is so
It is a fickle friend today. Zoom is a fickle friend today. We're gonna wait for Christina to reset her Wi-Fi and rejoin us. I'm assuming they had another electrical surge down there. So Sean, I've got a question for you. It is, what type of issues face these specific industries, and what will you do in the legislature to help these industries specifically?
Well, I think both on the municipal level and at the state level, with BIW, we've definitely helped it with tax TIFs to foster and to keep the BIW around in the area. I think supporting our workers. I mean, we just had a strike this year for the first time in 20 years. I think making sure that our employees of the shipyard are supported. I think having a strong union around was definitely beneficial in making sure that that the workers were heard. And I think just making sure that the industry is supported, and that communication is the biggest thing. I think both at a local level and at a state level with the ironworks. Of course, a lot of their business gets done through contracts with the federal government. So I think it's just keeping good communication, diversifying, and supporting our workers who are local and from all over the state. I think that's the most important thing we can do.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Christina did call. They did lose power. It just came back. She's rebooting and everything. So she will join us in a second. So what a day. What a day. Jay, same question to you. You have specific industries that are in your district. How are you going to support them in the legislature with the issues that are important to them?
Well, I'll continue to support them in the legislature. It's been an ongoing effort to support our communities and our traditional industries, which commercial fishing, lobstering, everything related to it. And we have a lot of families, fishing families, who are now older adults in our communities, and issues of affordable housing and safe housing continue to be problems that we're working on through volunteer efforts, which I think goes back to the first question too, about community, the cost to municipalities. Just robust volunteer effort. In Harpswell, we have Harpswell Aging at Home, which is focused on that. A community like ours, we have the longest coastline, and therefore a lot of opportunities for fishing and related industries. We have, one of the efforts is to keep the ocean environment healthy. That involves things like eelgrass and making sure that there's a habitat for aquatic life. And that lobster, for example, continues to be a healthy industry. I think a lot of people have a plan B as well, which is not a bad idea as things are changing. Our Casco Bay is warming quickly. So far, so good with lobster, but not in some parts of the world. So having a backup plan is a great idea. Having the safety net, as Sean was talking about, people, and as Christina was as well, that people can be just one crisis away from disaster.
Yeah.
So fishing is our, it's our identity, but there's so many things related that we have to look at the big picture. And chairing marine resources has given me the opportunity to shepherd bills, to work with my colleagues on bills that, for example, We have a more robust medical waiver for someone who is very ill
Yep.
and a lobsterman, and now they
Yep.
can continue to earn a living. And that's just one example.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Sean, as well. I'm hoping Christina can jump back in and join us. If not, what I may do is when I film with Bubba, I might have Christina join me then and answer those questions there. That way, her answers can be shared as well. I know this has been a little tricky, and I appreciate both of you for seeing through it and giving us some really good answers too. With that, I'll give you each 30 seconds to add anything more to see if Christina jumps back in, and then we'll get into closing statements. Sean, anything else you want to add?
Well, I think I think just being able to support our small businesses like we've done through through this pandemic, and making sure services and resources are available to them, not just BIWs, but small businesses as well. And I think because that's during this time of the pandemic, that's one thing that we've been doing at a local level and through the state phased in grants as well.
Great. Jay, anything you want to add further?
Well, I agree. My husband's a small business owner with a business in Brunswick. And yeah, it's a tough time. I agree with Sean. And I would just add something we haven't talked about is access to healthcare. And we're in a pandemic. It's an issue that's been a struggle way before the pandemic, but the pandemic has put it in high relief.
Sure.
So we need to, in the legislature, as well as on the federal level, continue to improve access to healthcare, keep prescription costs down. We've made some great progress there in monitoring prescription costs and access to quality healthcare for everybody. So many people have been without it. So we need to do it all.
Yeah. What do we need to do? Just everything. Just everything. Not a big deal. Well, guys, thank you so much. I will still hold out hope that Christina joins us again. I'm going to assume that she may not. So I think we should get right into closing statements. Jay, you gave the first opening statements. So Sean, I'm going to let you have the first last word here. 2 minutes or less, just kind of anything else that you want to say to everybody out there in cyber world.
Again, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to the public, and thank you, Cory, and the chamber for hosting this. I think, again, Sean Paulhus, I believe that public service is a noble thing. I think it's something that everyone should be part of, whether you're young or old or wherever you are in between. I think it's a noble thing to get involved however you can get involved. And so I've been involved since I was 22 at a local level. And again, last year I had the great fortune to be elected to the legislature to represent my hometown of Bath and her citizens. And and I hope that this November that I can have the opportunity to serve a full term.
Yes.
Because I came in right in the middle, and then we shortened our session this most recent one. So I haven't even served a whole session yet. So I would like the opportunity to do that, to put in bills for the community. I think we have a lot of work to do up there. Like you said, we've been working with constituents on services. I think there's a lot of room that we can work to improve that, to make sure that not only individuals and families, but small businesses get the funding that they need to keep moving. I mean, we're getting into colder weather with the pandemic has really thrown everything around. And so businesses, we're going to need to support our businesses coming forward as well as families. So, and I think, like I said before, I think having someone who, with a young family, I have 3 kids, me and my wife, live in a house that 6 generations of my family have lived in here in Bath. I think that having a voice for working families up in Augusta is an important thing to have. And I look forward to being that voice for the city of Bath.
Awesome. Sean, thank you so much. Stay on the line for us for a second, because I know we do have a media member that is here. Might want to ask some questions after the forum. Jay, your closing statement.
Thank you. And I add my thanks to you and the chamber for this opportunity. I am running for my 4th term. I've served 3. And again, it's Jay McCreight, and on the ballot, it's Joyce.
Yes.
I had to come out as Joyce.
Stupid legal names.
Yeah, it's been, it's just such an honor to serve, for to have that chance to represent your community, to work for your community and the entire state, to bring good policies forward. And I feel very fortunate to have that chance, and to be successful in bringing lots of good policy forward in all sorts of areas. And I think, again, that the ability to serve constituents, to help them deal with problems they're having with the range of things, it's an opportunity to learn, so then you have more information for the next person. But this summer, this has been incredibly intense with unemployment issues, getting through that system that wasn't working very well. And we had so many people who needed that benefit to get through this time.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite words is persistence.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked in schools, teachers would talk about kids being stubborn, and I would always reframe it as persistent. You need persistence to keep working for your communities, to get bills through, but more importantly, to help constituents get the help that they needed, get the answers they needed, and ideally the solutions they needed.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's an honor to serve, and I hope to continue.
Thank you, Jay. Sean, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, they can reach out at Sean Paulhus for state rep on Facebook. They can give me a call. My information's out there.
Yep.
As well, and my email is out there as well, seanpaulhus@gmail.
Perfect. And Jay, if
Yeah.
people want to reach you.
My email is jmccreight@gmail.com, and McCreight is not a little trickier to spell than Paul, but it's McCreight. And I look forward to talking with anyone about whatever issues they want to bring up.
Well, thank you. Thank you both so much. Stay on the line. I do want to say goodbye to you off this, but for those watching out in the world, it was a little hectic. We had some technology issues, but in between that, there's some really great answers that I hope you absorbed. I know that I did. We will be asking Christina to refilm a couple of answers for her. Part of that, we'll probably do that when we film Stephen Davis's answers as well. So take a look for that on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Thanks again to our sponsors and everybody out there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.